A very good morning and welcome to our Kickstarter discussion this morning. We are looking at East African perspective in light of the changing global order in aspects of trade as well as integration. We are going to be speaking to the first Deputy Prime Minister, who is also the Minister for East African Community Affairs, the Right Honourable Rebecca Kadaga. But before the Right Honourable joins us, let me just give you a preamble. Article 10 of the East African Community Common Market Protocol states that citizens of East African partner states are at liberty to accept employment within the territories of partner states other than their own. Uganda becomes the third EAC partner state to waive visa requirements for DRC citizens after Kenya and Tanzania. The community also applauded a decision recently by the Republic of Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo to waive visa fees requirements for citizens traveling across their borders, and that was achieved at the 8th Ordinary Session of the Joint Permanent Commission. The Right Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for East African Community Affairs will be taking us into a deep dive on what is the latest in terms of Uganda's initiatives to drive further the objective of integration, but also her perspective on those aspects that are defining trade and socio-economic transformation across the region. Welcome to Morning at NTV, Right Honourable Kadaga.
Thank you very much, and good morning, viewers.
Yes, before we go into the nitty-gritty of many of the protocols that I'm sure Uganda has been pushing across the region, what would be your overview of the current state of affairs with regard to the East African community integration process within the frame of Uganda?
Now, the integration process was constructed on 4 pillars: the customs union, the Common Market Protocol,
Yes.
the monetary union, and then the political federation. So we have achieved largely the customs union. Most of the countries are members of the customs union now. It's only South Sudan that has not yet embraced the customs union. And of course the DRC, which has just come. We are waiting for the roadmap for integration of the DRC to establish when are they going to join the customs union. With regard to the Common Market Protocol, again, the older members of the community already are members of the observing the Common Market Protocol. That is mainly the right to establishment, right of residence, freedom of movement of goods, of labor, of services, of capital. I think that was largely working, except the free movement of labor is still a problem, because in a number of the countries, one still requires to have a work permit in order to be able to work in that country. A country like Tanzania, unless you have a passport or national ID, is not valid for entry into Tanzania. Although it is valid in Rwanda, it is valid in Kenya, valid in Burundi. So that one remains the challenge on that side. So there are some positives and some negatives. With regard to the currency, the monetary union, we are off schedule because certain difficult conditions were set, what they call the convergence criteria. I don't think it's possible to achieve convergence at the same time for all the countries, because they're not the same level of development. So our proposal would be that we start by establishing a common currency, even before we get the monetary union. Let's have a currency, as we used to have in the 60s. There was the East African currency that was used in all the countries. In fact, for Ugandans who are trading across the borders, it's a very, very big issue. All the borders have gone to them and said, please, can you do something about the common currency? Because in a day, you either gain or you lose money just by crossing one border. So we want the next Council of Ministers, which is taking place next week, want to propose that we start with a common currency. The other steps of convergence can come later, but let's have the currency so that our citizens are able to move and do their trade.
Great.
The political federation is not moving as it should. One, there was the proposal was that by 2004 we should have a federation. but there were fears about it. So a new idea was brought in to form a confederation first. You know, a federation is different from a confederation in that the confederation will allow a certain level of autonomy in certain sectors, but then the convergence on others. You go in some common areas where you work together, but then the others remain in the national governments. So we thought that if we do that and build confidence, eventually people will come to accept it and then grow into a federation later. So that has also stalled because it involves a consultation process with the citizens of all the countries. So far, in the last 10 years, it's Uganda, Burundi, Kenya recently, which has had the consultations. Rwanda and Tanzania have not had the consultations. Now, when you add Congo, which has just arrived, no effort has been made to start yet. So it's still a bit off. So that's where we are on the political federation.
Okay. Let's put the political federation on the side a little bit and concentrate on the economic integration and as well as the customs union. When you talk about the need to find common ground on a currency, the state of these economies across the region is different. Some view themselves as superior with a more robust financial system and architecture, which is not the case to the others. And that has that's what the problem is.
Yeah.
Now, in light of the realization of that challenge, what is the way forward? Because it would be futile to continue to push for it when you are a tenant to the reality that these financial systems and architecture are different, and perhaps one sees the other as superior and cannot agree to be on the same footing.
That's why I want to push out the convergence criteria, because that's what's dictating, that they should converge at a certain level, all of them, which can't happen at the same time. So we are saying, you forget convergence criteria for now, let us issue a currency, the East African currency, which we all use, as we work on the convergence, if we really need the convergence. But let's issue a currency, which is common to all of us.
All right, you spoke of the challenges that many who are seeking labor across the region face. My own experiences, or the reports that I've had, is that East Africans from Kenya, Tanzania, and any other country readily and easily find jobs in Uganda, while Ugandans struggle to find jobs in those other East African countries. Technically, a working permit would be the greatest challenge. But there are other underlying aspects that perhaps many of us in Uganda may not be aware of that leads to countries, especially Tanzania, to be mistrustful of us and not allow our laborers to easily find jobs in Tanzania.
Although we are talking about the community, I think at the back of our minds, every government is looking for how do I support my nationals to get employment. So I think for most of us, it's my people first, before our others. Mine first, then the others. Yes.
And hasn't that put Uganda in a spot of bother to be seen to want to work on other people's interests more aggressively than Ugandan interests?
We're hoping that our colleagues would borrow a leaf and say all the hotels in Uganda are run by Kenyans. Why don't we have the Ugandans run our hospitals or something like that? But that is still a problem. A few months ago, I was in Tanzania. We were talking about the sugar industry. Yeah. So I was telling my colleagues that we are better on sugar production.
That's right.
Why don't you concentrate on something else so that we do the sugar? They said, no, we have got new factories here, so I don't even talk about that. So
even when Mumia's closed.
Yes. So it's still that issue of mine is still there.
It's still there. Okay. We hope that can be worked on as time goes on. Uganda recently, of course, joined Kenya and Tanzania in waiving visa requirements for citizens of the Democratic Republic of Congo. DRC, being a new member, has raised hopes, especially given the massive population and the market value that it does present. And of course, waiving these particular visa requirements is something of a good gesture. I do not know whether that has effectively been reciprocated in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Can we be certain that our business persons, especially the small and medium enterprises under the aegis of Uganda Manufacturers Association, can readily go into the Democratic Republic of Congo and begin to trade?
That is the ideal. That's the ideal, and I hope it will happen. But at least for the people who travel by air, you know, there was that silly tax, which I think was some kind of departure tax.
Departure tax?
In Congo.
In Congo?
Yes. You had to pay another $50 to depart the country, having paid for $100 for the visa to enter. Then, a departure tax.
Yeah.
So
that is not communicated prior?
No.
You simply find it at the point of departure?
Yes, upon departure. So we are negotiating with them, with the provincial governments of DRC, to eliminate that tax, all those taxes internally, because even within the, on the roads, the internal taxes. So we have discussed with the government of Congo to ensure that those are eliminated. We remain with if the official tax, they should be paid only at once, but we agreed no visa for entering Uganda, no visa for the Ugandans to enter Congo. No visa for them no permit of visa to enter Uganda.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, there was the EU EAC Regional Conference on Digital Transformation that was held in Arusha, Tanzania. I don't capture the exact date when that was happening, but some of the resolutions that were agreed was to foster a human-centric digital transformation regime in East Africa that would utilize digital technologies and innovations for integration. Every country is seeking to be able to use the new frontier of technology. AI has come in. I do not know whether there is a protocol within the workings of the East African Assembly, Legislative Assembly, to help the harmonization of our digital footprints across the region, so that we are able to seamlessly do business, especially banking and transacting in payment of for some of the goods that are being imported and exported across the region.
I can't tell you, Fanda, whether there's legislation there. I think we could check on either the bills in process or the bills shall be completed. Okay. But if it's not there, it will have to be done, either by private members or by the Council of Ministers.
What is the conversation like?
No. The issue of digital technology is everywhere now. It's the way to go now. So we can't shy away from it. So it's something we shall have to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Recently, the United States, given its power economically and some of the advantages that we have enjoyed in trading with Washington, delisted Uganda and some other countries from the AGOA initiative. AGOA being the arrangement where we are allowed to export Ugandan goods duty-free. That had been able to bring on board many Ugandan business persons who were able to export crafts, cotton products, and a range of other products to the United States. They've now been dealt a hammer, a blow, so to speak. What is the conversation within government?
It's not exactly in my area, but I think it speaks to the need now to look elsewhere. Let's look for more markets. We'll not focus just on America. Let's look beyond that. Widen our horizons. For me, that's the solution.
Okay. All right. In January next year, that is 2024, Uganda will be hosting 122 countries of the non-aligned movement. We shall also be holding the South Summit, one that aims to put the countries in the South on the to be able to trade comfortably on the international market. But the global trends have been very controversial of late. The Ukraine and Russia war has presented a dilemma, especially for countries that were heavily dependent on some of the products from Ukraine, including grain. Their importation has been difficult. And then we have been conveniently told on many occasions, including price increases of fuel and other goods is due to that. But the war has gone on for long, and there is need to find solutions because we cannot determine when Ukraine will say we are ceding, or Russia will say, okay, we've beaten Ukraine enough, let's leave it at that. What should be the model of new business in export trade?
I think diversification would be the answer.
Diversification.
More diversification,
Okay.
so that you don't have to rely on one market. For me, diversification is the answer.
Okay. All right. Could you give us your perspective on the NAM summit? How Uganda will benefit? I don't know whether you've been briefed sufficiently on the...
Of course, it was, when I joined cabinet, it was already something which was planned.
Yeah.
NAM was supposed to be here in 2020, I think. It was supposed to be in 2020, and then the COVID happened.
COVID.
Yes. But again, to give a foot to Uganda at the global stage, to get new contacts, you'll be surprised how many people don't know much about countries, except what they see on the CNN and so on. So I think it's a good opportunity to market the country, get new opportunities for trade, get more partners. Yes.
Okay. Having you on Morning AT NTV is an honor, and I'll take this opportunity to speak for the SMEs and the traders, especially those that are taking goods to South Sudan. Maize has become an issue. The apparent presence of aflatoxins has led to Kenya, which heavily depends on unga, maize, to begin to look at Ugandan maize as substandard. That is a blow to us, but I know within the negotiations, this issue has been addressed. We want an update on that, and what is the volume of trade that we may be suffering losses to?
No, I don't think, I think the Minister of Trade will be able to tell you, because they want on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
For me, I went to the principle, have the goods gone or have they not gone? Is there a blockade or what? That's my word.
Macro,
yes,
so to speak,
when is there a blockade, fix it.
Yeah.
But the details of how many bags of aflatoxin, no. But I think that it speaks to our need to do more, to properly verify before we export. So there must be proper packaging, proper testing before export. So the grain exporters must organize themselves better.
Must organize themselves better.
Although some of the exporters who came here to complain told me they've been exporting grain to Sudan for the last 14 years with no difficulty. So I don't...
Reports of blockages of some goods on lorries have been reported.
Yeah, I know, because they came here to report that their goods have been sitting in the forest for 4 months. So I had to work on that and solve it. So I think, again, it's, our Ministry of Trade and the Bureau of Standards must be more focused in supervising the quality of export.
Okay. Now let me draw your attention as we enter the final bend of this discussion on the political federation. You had spoken earlier of how we can't federate but can confederate. Many Ugandans would struggle to understand that. Do you mind shedding a little bit more light on confederating and federating?
Okay. For the confederation, for the federation, it would mean that all of us are under one government, the government of East Africa, a common president, etc., etc.
So Uganda would have a government?
Something like that. But with the confederation, it means that we retain all our that sovereignty, but we have either a common defense arrangement, common foreign policy, common trade, then maybe a few others will say, no, this one's my area, I keep it to myself. So we don't have a common government. We have common areas of cooperation, but not a common government.
Okay.
That's the confederation.
So what are the key obstacles that mean we cannot federate and should think of, or rather stay at confederate level? Sovereignty.
Because they say, this Uganda is my country. You know, even when you are budgeting, you plan, I want to create 500 jobs for the Kenyans. I want to create 5 jobs for the Tanzanians. So you don't have to say that I want to create 300 jobs for Ugandans. So that's why the issue of sovereignty is still very strong.
It's still very strong.
Yeah.
Somalia's need or request to join the East African community. How far are we?
Somalia is aggressively pursuing their demand. It's actually the demand.
It's a demand.
Yes.
They are not requesting.
No, they are demanding. Last summit, the president turned up in Arusha. He said, "I'm part of you. I'm entitled to be here."
Without invitation?
Yes, this is where I belong. He said, "I belong here, that's why I've come." So he came as a special guest and attended our meetings. So they are demanding.
Okay.
So the process is on. There has been a visit to Somalia, to those institutions. So the report will be discussed at the Council of Ministers next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So lastly, as we finalize, as Minister for East African Community Affairs, there's a lot that you rolled out at the beginning of your tenure after being appointed, and I'm sure there is so much that you're working on. What would you say are your successes so far?
I think my biggest success has been to bring the ministry to the people. Because before I came here, I think very few knew about the ministry. So there are a bit more awareness now. I've also introduced the border consultations. I've been to at least 5 borders already. And I intend to, by the end of my tenure, to have gone to all of them to establish the issues there. To popularize really the treaty in the population. Then the issue of Swahili. Okay. Before I came here, there was no one to...
Glad you bring that up.
Yes. Now Swahili is being taught in the cabinet every Monday. The first one now is for Swahili. The judiciary.
How does it work in cabinet? The first one?
We start the Swahili for 1 hour.
For 1 hour?
9 to 10 every Monday.
Wow.
Then from 10, we do the ordinary cabinet work.
Do you speak Swahili?
Yes.
During those meetings?
Yes, we speak Swahili during those meetings.
Minutes are written and produced in Swahili?
No, that one will come at the end. That was the plan, that at the end of this year, we should be able to have a full cabinet meeting from morning until evening, speaking in Swahili. But of course, our transcribers don't yet have the capacity to transcribe in Swahili. But we do the first 1 hour in Swahili. Okay. We study, we do tests. Yes. Right. The judiciary is undertaking the courses. Also, they're taking courses.
So that means the justice, law, order sector will be brought on board?
Yes. What is laying is the parliament. They haven't done anything. But the interim secretariat takes lessons every Wednesday. Okay. There are public lessons there today. So for me, that's an achievement. Because before I came here, there was nothing, no one to talk about Swahili.
Okay. You say the parliament hasn't done anything.
No, they haven't.
You're a member of parliament representing Somalia.
No, but my work is here.
So tell us how you are...
No, we designed a training program for the parliament.
Okay.
And we've handed over 3 times to them. But they haven't started, so we've done our work.
Speakers did. All right. I would be remiss if I do not congratulate you on the ongoing preparations ahead of Saturday's wedding of the Chawazinga and the Inebatu. I understand you are a pivotal figure in these preparations.
Yes.
Right now, what is the message? The Chawazinga and the Inebatu wedding is tomorrow.
Yes, day after tomorrow.
Yeah. What is your message?
Well, for me, I think we are happy. One, for me as a person, I'm happy that the Chawazinga has grown up. Because when I first met him at the age of 9.
9 years of age?
Yes. So I've walked the journey with him. Primary school, secondary school, university, starting work, master's degree, now the final one. So for me, I'm really happy. I'm really very, very happy.
Okay.
Yes.
Right Honorable Rebecca Halitwala Kadaga, many thanks for your time and sharing some perspectives on what's going on across the East African region.
Yes.
I am content by the information that you have shared.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that's it from the First Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for East African Community Affairs, the Right Honorable Rebecca Halitwala Kadaga. Morning at NTV does continue. Stay with us.
Okay.